Hello and welcome back. We've given this trim here the night to dry out here, and again I use the Stix water-based bonding primer on this, and as you can see here what it covers like in just one coat here. Now when you go over the trim to from a dark brown and you want the final color to be like a white or like an off-white, it's going to pretty much take 2 coats of the primer just to get to that base white. Sometimes you can do just 1 coat and then 2 top coats, but a lot of times it'll only cover like 90%. So the best way is to prime twice, so that'll lock down your color, and it'll make the surface much more stronger, so that when we do have to fill the holes in caulk, that you won't tear off the primer, both with the blades by filling the holes and with the caulk gun by trying to caulk. Because if I was trying to caulk this now, you run the risk of the caulk gun tearing off the primer. So it's always best to do 2 coats of primer to build up that surface, because this primer dries hard. So after we do the coat, the white, now you're able to see all the holes and the gaps and whatnot. So anytime that you convert to trim, you're always going to have the nail holes that are left over that were never filled properly because it was stained and varnished, and a lot of times they'll just use like a putty and just do 1 coat, or they may miss some holes because you won't really notice with the stained and varnished look. So those are some holes, and there's more of them here, but I just wanted to point out a few of them here. So hold off on filling the holes, because if you fill the holes now, then you have to sand it, and you don't want to try to sand on top of just 1 coat of this primer. You want to do at least 2 coats. So hold off your prep work until after you do the 2nd coat. And then after the 2nd coat's done, then you can start to prep and fill the holes, and then we'll caulk. So until then, I have my paint set up here. I have my 2.5-inch brush here. And again, I have the Stix bonding primer, Stix water-based bonding primer here. So again, we're just gonna come up here, and there's a lot of paint that's on my brush here. So I'm gonna release it right here and go back up, work it into the corner. Now there's still some paint that's on my brush here. I'm gonna work it, the tip, into the corner there, and just lightly come down with it. I'm gonna reload back up here, get rid of the paint there, come back into it, and come down with it. Go up there. So that takes care of that inside there. So I'll come over here, I'll reload back up, and come down the middle of it there. And again, since you want, and feather it down there, and since you want this to cover on the 2nd coat, you kind of have to put enough paint down first. Okay, so we'll feather that up there, and add some more here. Come down with it. Okay, so that looks good there. Now I'll feather it off by going back into what I did there. Now you always want to check over, and if there's any drips or anything like that, then you can just come up here and just lightly feather off like that. If you get any paint down here, fine, just feather this off here so it doesn't dry to a clump. Okay. Now quickly, we're gonna come over here, and we're gonna paint this left-hand side of the trim here. So as you can see, that's what it looks like there. And again, I'm just gonna load up the paint a little bit on the brush here. And with my right hand, I'm just gonna get rid of the paint in chunks there and turn the brush around and do that. So I've dispersed the paint from the brush to the trim there, and there's not a lot of paint that's on the brush here, so I'm gonna come back up and start at the top and work it in. I'm not hitting the wall here. So this second coat is going to make the trim white, and it's just we're going to start off with a much better base than if you just did one coat of the primer, and then once you get to your top coat, you'll need 2 of the top coats. Okay, so that's what that looks like there. Now, when you do the sides, if you get any on this return here, and it hasn't been a long time, you can just go up like that, and then come down like that. But if it takes you a while to do that side, then I wouldn't recommend doing that, because once the primer starts to set up, and if you go back into it, you don't want to do that. So just try to work fast. So I'm going to reload here, and come up here, paint this into the corner and pull across. Put the brush in my left hand, get rid of the paint, a lot of the paint in the middle there, come into the corner. And pull across. So that takes care of that bottom lip. Now we'll put a little bit more paint and do this top part. But with the corner here, I'm just working the brush on a 45 into that 45-degree joint right there. And with the top, so you can just come into it like that there. Come across and feather that there. Turn the brush around with my left hand. Work the paint into all these cracks and crevices there, and then pull across. So that takes care of that there. And now we have this one here to do. So I'll start over here. And do one final one all the way up. And I'm just applying a little bit of pressure there and come down with that there. I need more paint on my brush. Okay, and for the sides you can come into it like that there, and that assures that you hit that rounded edge, because it's hard to hit the rounded edge if you're facing off the trim like I am here. So that takes care of that. I'll come over here, I'll check to see if I left any drips there. I'll just do one down just to make sure, and up. Now since I did that, now I'll reface this again to feather off that edge there. Now we're left with this with this edge here, and as you can see, when I did that technique of doing that, it kind of left a little bit of a drip mark. Like right there, but it's fine because we're ready to paint this side. Now, if you're not able to get to your corners, then just with a dry brush, just fan those out so it doesn't dry to a clump. So I'm just gonna come over here, and again, there's a lot of paint that's on my brush, so I'll disperse it evenly among the surface here. Turn the brush around, and this gets rid of this other side here. Okay, now with not too much paint that's on my brush here, I'll come back to the top and just work it to the edge where the trim kind of meets the wall, but it doesn't because there's a gap there. And I'm not getting any of the paint on the walls here. And we had talked about in the last video about why I don't tape off the walls. I'm not going to get back into that now, but you can refer to that previous video about why I don't tape off the walls when doing something like this, and it's because you still have to caulk. Okay, so you can see what that looks like there. And now, feather that out there. Now we just have this part of the trim here to do, the ledge. And for this face here, we'll just come into it like this. That's going to hit this rounded edge here. And once that's done, I'll feather that there. This side right here, I'll just load up a little bit. I kind of did too much, so. And now I want to get to the underneath part here. So you can see the way that I form my brush so it hits the whole back side and the top lip here. And as you can see, whenever you do that, you're going to get paint on this top side here. So I'll quickly come back to the top side and feather that off there. That takes care of that there. And then this piece here. Feather off the whole thing there, and then come back like that there. So I'm going to come around here and check over this right here. I'll work the paint in there like that, and that side there, and the underneath there. And I'm just going to do this exactly what I did over there to this side there. So this is, again, is the second coat of primer. And as you can see, it made the trim more white, and you don't see like the brown starting to peer through. So we're just gonna give this another day to dry out here. And then we'll be back tomorrow to start to prep this with the nail hole filling and the caulking. So until the next time,